want to talk a little bit about the path forward. South Carolina, do you anticipate finishing behind? Everyone seems to be saying the polling's going to be that's the result.
The goal is momentum. You know, we started at 2% in Iowa, we got to 20. In New Hampshire, we got to 43. The goal is to stay competitive. So we're trying to get as many people out to the polls as we can to close that gap. And then we're going to go on to Michigan, and then we're going to go on to Super Tuesday. So we're not stopping, but we're trying to get everybody possible to say, look, a general election, you're given a choice, but in a primary, you make the choice. This is the chance for South Carolina to make their choice.
That lovely 98-year-old woman. Hoping you get to the end. What do moments like that mean to you?
It's everything. I mean, from, you know, the 6-year-old girl or someone who gives me a friendship bracelet that says President Haley to the 98-year-old woman that says it's time, we want to see you do this. I mean, it's all, that's what gives you energy. That's what gives you motivation. It makes me feel like I have to work twice as hard.
All right, so polling, so back in the day, you would say, ignore the polls. But the polls have had you ahead of President Biden most of the way, except for a recent NBC poll. Are you concerned about relying on polling and the conflict that creates in terms of the way you used to kind of discount them and now they really mean a lot to you?
Well, it depends. You know, you have to know that polls are moving. You know, how many people get called for a poll? You know, we're trying to make sure that we get everybody, so we're going anywhere and everywhere. But the fact is, in all of those polls, Donald Trump does not defeat Joe Biden. He's down by 7, he's down by 9. The best he can do is margin of error. In every one of those polls, I defeat Biden by up to 17 points. The one that came out yesterday, I defeated him by 13 points. This is about winning. I voted for Donald Trump twice. I was proud to serve America and his administration. But we can't go through 4 more years of chaos. We won't survive it. You come out with a double-digit win, that's a mandate to get our economy back on track, to get our kids reading again, to secure our borders with no excuses, to bring law and order back, and to make sure our country is safe so that we prevent wars. That's what we're trying to do, and that's what we can do for America.
I asked viewers for questions, and I had many of them asking about the border. They are very concerned about the border. They want to know, what priority on your agenda is that, and what are you going to do to stop, especially catch and release?
The border is priority number 1. And you look at the fact that when I was governor, we passed the toughest illegal immigration law in the country. President Obama sued us over it, and we won. We're going to take what we did in South Carolina and go national with it. We want to do a national E-Verify where every business has to prove the people they hire in this country legally. We want to defund sanctuary cities once and for all. Put 25,000 Border Patrol and ICE agents on the ground and let them do their job. Let's go back to the Remain in Mexico policy so that no one even steps foot on U.S. soil. And instead of catch and release, we want to go to catch and deport. That's what we'll do to secure the border.
A viewer in Gaffney worried about gun violence. Their granddaughter was shot and killed at a McDonald's in Gaffney.
God bless.
Very concerned about what we can do to keep guns out of the hands of young people.
I think the focus is look at what we want to do to really get this right. You have to support law enforcement. It is demoralizing to them when they take stolen guns off the street and then they go and let the person out the very next day. Prosecutors need to prosecute according to the law. Then we also have to look at, America has never addressed the cancer that's mental health. You look at the last mass shootings that we've had, 80% of them, the shooter was in a crisis. Let's focus on those things, on what we need to do to fix those, but we don't want to take the freedoms away from people who are just trying to protect themselves or their families. I'm a concealed weapons permit holder myself. We always want the freedom to be able to protect ourselves.
In terms of veterans, you met the family there, the 98-year-old woman who's being cared for by a relative, a veteran, a spouse. Mm-hmm. A lot of people are asking questions about veteran support. You know, we're spending so much money supporting people coming into the country and the international issues that face us. How are you going to spread out money to make sure veterans are covered?
Veterans, if they sacrifice for us, we should do everything we can to take care of them. The idea that we have 22 heroes a day that commit suicide, the idea that we have 1 in 3 suffer from PTSD or thoughts of suicide. We want to make sure we do telehealth so they get the mental health care they need right when they need it. They should be able to choose the doctor or hospital of their choice. They've earned that right. And I've said all along, the best way to fix VA health care is I think every member of Congress should have to get their health care care from the VA, and you watch how fast they fix that. We've got to put veterans first. It's the reason you see recruitment is down 25%. It's because for the first time, parents and grandparents are telling their kids not to do it. We've got to start getting the veteran health care right.
Okay, a Trump supporter wanted me to ask you, a guy named, let's see, what is it? Richard Sweat out of Taylor says, I want to know why she is accepting Democratic donor money. I've heard this from other questions too. And he also wants to know why you were inspired by Hillary Clinton. These may be things in the advertisements, so you tell me your answers to these concerns.
Well, first of all, we don't know who sends us money, whether they're Republican or Democrat. We appreciate everybody who donates. We've had 250,000 donors from all 50 states. 95% of them have been $200 or less. And we're proud of the fact that we're bringing people into the party. We're bringing people into the fold. That's the goal, is we should want to win the majority of Americans. In terms of the Hillary Clinton thing, I've never once said she inspires me. What I said was that when I was first running for office, and I had never been politically involved, everyone told me why I shouldn't run, that I had small kids, that I should start at school board, that, I was too young. And I went to a women's leadership forum at Furman, and there were multiple speakers, and Hillary Clinton happened to be one of the speakers. I don't agree with her on anything, but on that day she said, for every reason they tell you not to do it, that's every reason that you should. And I got involved in office. That's probably the only link I have with Hillary Clinton, but I'm grateful that day that she said it, because that's what's made me say I'm going to start doing this.
In terms of China, Cynthia Adams wants to know, you say you want to keep China out when, as governor, you gave China acreage around Charleston.
There was a fiberglass company that came in, but look at the thousands of jobs and the billions of dollars of companies we had. If we have less than 1% that happen to be Chinese, that was us trying to make things in America, and we focused on that. But we also focused on building planes with Boeing, building more BMWs than any place in the world. We brought in Mercedes-Benz, we brought in Volvo, 5 international tire companies. We became the beast of the Southeast. The fact that a fiberglass company came, what I have said is any U.S. land that has been sold to China, we should take it back. And we should go and make sure that nothing is harming us from anything that China is doing at this point.
One last question here. A viewer asked, in comparison to the way you were as governor versus what being president will take. Hold on one second. Oh, here we go. This is from Rick Stroud out of Taylor's. He says, my question, the way you led South Carolina worked great, but I think there are things you will definitely have to do differently to lead the country. What do you think South Carolinians will notice as a difference in President Haley that we did not see in Governor Haley?
Well, I think, first of all, you'll see me fight the political establishment. That's what I think is wrong with Washington, D.C. I did that in South Carolina. I'll do it there. The second thing is you'll see me clean up our agencies. I did that in South Carolina. We need to replace the head of every agency, and we need to clean up all of our agencies that we have. You'll see me take as many federal programs as I can and move them down to the state level. That will reduce the size of the federal government, but it will empower people on the ground. Think welfare, think healthcare, think education, think mental health. If we cut the strings and sent the resources down, the people would be better benefited. And then I know a lot about foreign policy now, and the focus is how do we prevent war? Period. How do we prevent war? And you do that just like I did at the UN, where you tell countries what America's for and what America's against. I never cared if they liked me, but I wanted them to respect America. And so we'll focus on that. We'll also get Congress working again. If they have only given us 4 budgets on time in 40 years, we'll say to them, you don't give us a budget on time, you don't get paid. And we'll get them to start working again. So I think they'll see me working in a stronger, more productive way because it's bigger, but I think you'll still see me cut out the political class in the process.
One last thought, the moderate versus conservative conversation that's going on. You have had to clarify multiple times that you're not a moderate, that you are a true conservative. But what's wrong with being a moderate?
I don't mind being a moderate. I don't mind being a conservative. I know I'm a conservative. I ran as a Tea Party candidate for governor and won. I've governed as a conservative. Even at the UN, I was a conservative. But look, we want everybody. I want the conservative Republicans, I want the moderate Republicans, I want the independents. We want everybody to come and vote in this primary. That's what's key. And so, the problem is you've got Donald Trump who says, if you support Nikki Haley, you're barred permanently from MAGA. The problem is if you're running for president, you want as many people as possible. You don't push people out of your club. That's not what somebody running for president does. We have to start pulling everybody back together again. We have to be patriotic. We've got to focus on what's going to make America strong. And you're not going to get that if you have two 80-year-old candidates running for president. You will only get that if you have a young generation, new generational leader that's ready to fix the things in Washington, D.C.
And SNL, who was your favorite person that you ran into there?
Colin Jost was great. I mean, he worked with us really well. He was fantastic. We had a good time.
And we can't talk about how it happened?
Nope. There'll be a time and place when I talk about how it happened. But
when?
We'll see. Let's get through this race and then I'll talk about it.
Okay, through South Carolina?
No. We're going to Michigan.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
In terms of Super Tuesday, what are your expectations?
I mean, we're going to go. I mean, this is getting anybody and everybody to the polls. It takes 1,215 delegates to become president.
Right.
Donald Trump has 32. I have 17. We don't do coronations in America. We've got 48 states and territories that need to vote. We're going to be there every step of the way. We're going to go to Michigan. We're going to continue to go on to Super Tuesday, and we're going to continue to make this happen.
Thank you, Governor
Thank you.
Haley.
Great to see you again.
Ambassador?
Have you asked for Secret Service yet? Has it gotten to that point in your path?
Yes, it has gotten to the point where we had to ask for it, yes.
And so do you have it?
No, not yet.
Okay.
We've submitted for it. We'll see if they give it.
Okay. Good luck.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Guys.
We have one more person.